The space station looked like a giant metal wheel spinning slowly in the darkness. Captain Lisa Martinez stood at the window of her ship, watching the structure grow larger as they approached. This was Nexus 7, a neutral meeting place where different alien races could talk without fighting. Today, it would host the most important meeting in human history. Lisa had been chosen to lead this mission because she stayed calm under pressure. The Earth government needed someone who would not panic when meeting aliens for the first time. She had short brown hair and steady green eyes that missed nothing. Her crew trusted her completely. The ship docked with a soft bump. Lisa walked through the airlock with her small team. Ambassador Kate Williams followed behind her, carrying a briefcase full of documents. Kate was a smart woman who spoke 7 human languages and had studied every piece of information they had about the aliens they were about to meet. Behind Kate came Colonel Ryan Brooks. He was a quiet man with gray hair and scars on his hands from old battles. The government had sent him to protect the diplomats, but also because he knew how to read dangerous situations. He wore a simple blue uniform with no weapons visible, following the station's peace rules. The station's inside was bigger than Lisa expected. The walls were made of some kind of smooth metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Other beings walked through the halls, but Lisa had never seen anything like them before. Some had too many arms, others had skin like rocks, and a few floated instead of walking. A small robot guided them to their meeting room. The room was round with a large table in the center. Chairs of different sizes surrounded the table, made to fit different types of bodies. Large windows showed the stars outside. "The Zephyrian delegation will arrive soon," the robot said in a flat voice. "Please take your seats and wait." Lisa chose a chair that faced the main door. Kate sat to her right, opening her briefcase and checking her notes one more time. Ryan took a seat where he could see all the exits. This was his habit from years of military service. "Remember," Kate said quietly, "these aliens value strength above everything else. They think diplomacy is for the weak. We need to show them that humans are worth talking to." "What do we know about their bodies?" Lisa asked. "They are much taller than us," Kate replied. "They have hard shells like insects and 4 arms each. They come from a world with heavy gravity, so they are very strong. Their leader is called Commander Vexithera." The door opened with a soft sound. The first alien stepped through, and Lisa understood why Kate had warned them. The creature stood almost 8 feet tall. Its body was covered in dark plates that looked like armor. 4 muscular arms moved as it walked, and its face had sharp features with glowing yellow eyes. More aliens entered behind the first one. They all looked similar but smaller. The leader was clearly the biggest and strongest. His armor plates were decorated with metal symbols that probably showed his rank. "I am Commander Vexthera of the Zephyrian Empire," the leader said. His voice was deep and rough like rocks grinding together. "You are the humans who think they deserve to share this galaxy with superior beings." Kate stood up slowly and smiled. "I am Ambassador Kate Williams, representing Earth and all human colonies. We are honored to meet with your empire." Vexithera looked down at Kate with obvious displeasure. "Honored? You should be grateful we agreed to speak with you at all. Your species is new and weak. You have no right to claim territory in space that belongs to stronger races." Lisa felt her jaw tighten, but she kept her face calm. She had dealt with bullies before. The best way to handle them was to stay quiet and let them show everyone what they really were. The aliens took their seats, which creaked under their weight. Vexithera placed all 4 hands on the table, his claws making small scratches in the surface. It was clearly meant to intimidate the humans. "Let us begin," Kate said, opening her folder. "We have prepared several proposals for trade agreements that could benefit both our peoples." "Trade?" Vexithera laughed, a sound like metal scraping. "What could weak creatures like you possibly have that we want? Your ships are small, your weapons are basic, and your bodies are soft." Ryan spoke for the first time. "Our technology may be different, but it works well for us. We have survived in a dangerous galaxy for many years now." The alien commander focused his yellow eyes on Ryan. "Survived? By hiding and running away, no doubt. True strength comes from facing enemies directly and crushing them." "True strength," Ryan replied quietly, "comes from winning battles, not just fighting them." This seemed to anger Vexithera. His upper arms flexed and the plates on his chest expanded slightly. Lisa realized this was probably some kind of threat display. Kate quickly returned to her papers. "Our first proposal involves mining rights in the Outer Rim. We believe both species could profit from shared operations. For the next 3 hours, the humans presented their ideas while the aliens mocked and rejected everything. Vexithara made it clear that he saw humans as insects that needed to be stepped on. His followers agreed with everything he said, making threatening gestures when they thought the humans were being too bold. Lisa watched it all carefully. She had seen this before in military meetings with hostile forces. The aliens were testing them, trying to make them angry or scared. If the humans lost their temper, it would prove that they were weak and emotional. Kate handled it perfectly. She stayed polite and professional, treating each insult as if it were a serious comment about policy. When Vexthera called humans pathetic worms, she simply nodded and said, "I understand your concerns about our capabilities." As the day ended, the aliens stood to leave. Vexithara leaned over the table toward Kate. "Tomorrow we will discuss your surrender of all territorial claims. Perhaps then we will allow your species to continue existing in the parts of space we do not want." After the aliens left, the 3 humans sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, Kate sighed and rubbed her forehead. "Well, that could have gone better." "They are testing us," Lisa said. "This is how they deal with everyone, I think. They try to scare new species into giving up without a fight." Ryan nodded. "The commander is used to getting his way through intimidation. He does not know how to handle people who do not back down." "Tomorrow will be harder," Kate warned. "If we keep refusing their demands, they might try something more direct." Ryan's eyes were cold and steady. "Let them try. Some lessons can only be learned the hard way." The next morning came too quickly for Kate's liking. She had spent most of the night reading reports about Zephyrian culture, trying to understand how to deal with Commander Vexithara. Everything she learned made her more worried about what might happen. The Zephyrians had a ritual called strength showing that they used when normal talking failed. If one side refused to give in, the stronger side would prove their power through force. Kate hoped it would not come to that, but she was starting to think it might be unavoidable. Lisa arrived at the meeting room first, carrying coffee for the team. She had also spent the night thinking about the aliens. As a ship captain, she had dealt with pirates and hostile forces before. The Zephyrians reminded her of the worst kind of bully, the type who only understood violence. Ryan came in last, looking calm and rested. He wore the same simple uniform as yesterday, but Kate noticed he moved differently. His steps were quieter, and his eyes checked every corner of the room. He was preparing for trouble. "Did you sleep at all?" Kate asked him. "Enough," Ryan replied. "I used the time to review what we know about their anatomy, just in case diplomatic solutions stop working." This made Kate nervous. "Ryan, we cannot afford to start a fight with them. They have warships and armies. We have 3 people and good intentions." "Sometimes good intentions are not enough," Ryan said simply. "But I will not start anything. I am just prepared to finish it if necessary." The door opened and the Zephyrian delegation entered. Commander Vexithara looked even more angry than yesterday. His armor plates were darker, and his yellow eyes seemed to glow brighter. The other aliens followed him closely, moving like soldiers ready for battle. "Have you considered our generous offer?" Vexithara asked as soon as he sat down. His voice was full of fake politeness that fooled no one. Kate opened her folder again. "We have prepared some counter-proposals that we believe will be fair to both sides." "Counter-proposals?" Vexthara's voice rose dangerously. "You think you are in a position to make demands? Your entire species could be wiped out by a single battle group from our fleet. Violence benefits no one," Kate replied calmly. "Trade and cooperation make both sides stronger." One of the other aliens made a sound like hissing. Vexithara held up one hand to silence him. "You speak of cooperation as if you have something to offer. What do weak creatures like humans bring to the galaxy except problems?" Lisa decided to speak up. "Our ships may be smaller, but they are fast and efficient. Our technology may be different, but it works. Our people may be new to space, but we learn quickly. Fast and efficient?" Vexthara laughed harshly. "Your ships run away from real battles. That is not speed, it is cowardice." Ryan's voice was very quiet when he spoke. Running away and fighting smart are 2 different things. Sometimes the winner is the one who survives, not the one who dies bravely. The alien commander's attention fixed on Ryan like a weapon targeting an enemy. "You speak of survival as if it matters more than honor. This proves that humans are not worthy of respect?" "Respect is earned," Ryan said, still speaking softly. "It cannot be demanded or taken by force." Vexathara stood up suddenly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. All four of his arms were tense, and the other aliens immediately became alert. Kate realized that something important was happening, but she did not understand what. In our culture, Vexathara said slowly, respect is given to the strong and denied to the weak. When words fail, strength must be proven. Kate felt her heart start beating faster. Commander, surely we can resolve our differences through continued discussion. Discussion is for equals, Vexathara replied. You are not our equals. You are insects pretending to be warriors. The other Zephyrians began moving around the room, taking positions near the walls. Kate realized they were preparing for their strength-showing ritual. She looked at Lisa and Ryan, trying to figure out what to do. Lisa's face was calm, but her hands were flat on the table in front of her. She was ready to move quickly if needed. Ryan had not changed position at all. He sat relaxed in his chair, but Kate could see the tension in his shoulders. Perhaps, Kate said carefully, we should take a break and return to this discussion later. No, Vexathara said firmly. This ends now. Your species will learn its place in the natural order. The alien commander began speaking in his own language to his followers. Kate did not understand the words, but the meaning was clear. They were preparing for some kind of demonstration. Ryan leaned forward slightly and spoke very quietly to Kate and Lisa. Whatever happens, do not interfere. Some things cannot be avoided, only survived. Kate wanted to argue, but something in Ryan's voice stopped her. She had worked with military people before, and she recognized the tone of someone who had already decided what needed to be done. Vexathara finished talking to his followers and turned back to the humans. Your people need to understand that the galaxy belongs to the strong. Weak races exist only because we allow it. And who decides what makes someone strong? Ryan asked. I do, Vexathara replied simply. Here now. The alien commander gestured to his followers, who immediately began clearing space around the conference table. They moved chairs and pushed equipment against the walls. Kate realized they were making room for some kind of physical confrontation. Commander, she said desperately, this is supposed to be a peaceful meeting. Violence violates the station's neutrality rules. This is not violence, Vexathara corrected. This is education. Your people will learn what happens when inferior beings try to negotiate with their superiors. Lisa stood up slowly. And what exactly do you plan to teach us? Vexathara smiled, showing teeth like broken glass. That humans are as fragile as they appear. That your confidence is just ignorance of your own weakness. Ryan remained seated, watching everything with calm attention. His hands rested loosely on the table and his breathing was steady. To someone who did not know him, he might have looked relaxed or even scared. Kate knew better. She had seen this look in veterans' eyes before. Ryan was not scared. He was waiting. Very well, Vexathara announced. Let the demonstration begin. The alien commander approached the table where Ryan sat. His forearms flexed and his chest plates expanded to make him look even larger. He towered over the seated human, using his height and mass to create maximum intimidation. Kate held her breath. She wanted to call for help, but she knew no one would come in time. The space station's security would not interfere in diplomatic meetings unless someone specifically asked for help. Ryan looked up at the massive alien looming over him. His expression did not change at all. Are you ready to learn about strength? Vexathara asked mockingly. I'm always learning, Ryan replied quietly. Kate closed her eyes, knowing that everything was about to change forever. Commander Vexathara stood over Ryan like a mountain of armored flesh and rage. His forearms moved slowly, deliberately, as he prepared to demonstrate what he believed was the natural order of the galaxy. The other Zephyrians watched from the walls, their yellow eyes glowing with anticipation. Ryan continued to sit calmly in his chair, reading something on his tablet. To the aliens, this looked like fear or stupidity. They did not understand that Ryan was doing what soldiers call combat breathing. Slow, steady breaths that keep the mind clear and the body ready. Kate gripped the edge of the table, her knuckles white with tension. She wanted to scream for help, but she knew it would only make things worse. Lisa stood frozen near the window, watching everything with wide eyes. In my culture, Vexathara said loudly, strength is proven through action, not words. The weak submit to the strong. This is the law of nature. Ryan looked up from his tablet with mild interest. And how exactly do you plan to prove this law? The alien commander's laugh was like breaking metal. by showing you what happens when insects try to negotiate with gods. Vexithara reached down with his lower arms and grasped the heavy conference table. The table was made of solid metal and designed to be permanent, but his alien strength made it look like a toy. He lifted it easily, raising it above his head with Ryan still sitting calmly in his chair. Kate finally found her voice. "Stop! This is madness!" "This is education," Vexithara corrected, holding the massive table high in the air. "Your colonel will learn that humans are as breakable as they appear." The alien commander looked down at Ryan, expecting to see terror or pleading. Instead, he saw a middle-aged man who seemed mildly annoyed by the interruption to his reading. "Are you going to sit there all day, or are you going to do something?" Ryan asked politely. This was not the reaction Vexithara expected. In his experience, smaller beings either ran away or begged for mercy. They did not sit calmly and ask questions. For a moment, the alien hesitated, confused by Ryan's complete lack of fear. That moment of confusion was exactly what Ryan had been waiting for. The table came down with tremendous force, aimed directly at Ryan's head. But Ryan was no longer there. Years of combat training had taught him to read body language and predict attacks. He had seen the strike coming long before it started. Ryan rolled backward off his chair as the table crashed down where he had been sitting. The impact was loud enough to shake the walls, and metal fragments scattered across the floor. The chair was completely destroyed, crushed flat under the table's weight. Vexithara expected the human to keep running, to try to escape or call for help. Instead, Ryan came up from his role in a fighting stance. His feet were spread for balance, his hands were open and ready, and his face showed no emotion at all. "My turn," Ryan said quietly. The alien commander realized he had made a serious mistake. This was not the cowering prey animal he had expected. This was something much more dangerous. Vexithara tried to use his size advantage, reaching out with his upper arms to grab the smaller human. He was fast for something so large, but Ryan was faster. The human ducked under the grasping claws and stepped inside the alien's reach. Close-quarters combat was Ryan's specialty. He had spent 20 years learning how to fight opponents who were bigger, stronger, and better armed than he was. The key was not to match their strength, but to use their size against them. Ryan's hands found the pressure points where Vexithara's neck met his armored collar. These spots were barely visible gaps in the alien's natural armor, but Ryan had studied Zephyrian anatomy for months in preparation for this mission. The alien tried to pull back, but Ryan moved with him, maintaining contact with those critical pressure points. Vexithara's forearms flailed wildly, trying to shake off the human, but Ryan was too close for the longer arms to be effective, impossible. One of the other aliens whispered in their own language. Ryan applied pressure to specific nerve clusters that controlled Vexithara's motor functions. The technique was similar to what human martial artists called pressure point fighting, but adapted for alien anatomy. It required perfect knowledge of how the target's body worked. Vexithara's struggles became weaker as his nervous system began shutting down. He tried to roar, but only a weak hiss came out. His yellow eyes widened with shock and growing fear. "This cannot happen," he gasped in broken standard. "You are weak. You are small." "Size is not strength," Ryan replied calmly. "And strength is not just physical." The alien commander's legs began to buckle as Ryan continued applying pressure to the nerve points. Vexithara realized with growing horror that he was about to be defeated by a creature half his size. "Please," he whispered, all his arrogance gone. "I yield. You have proven your point." Ryan looked into the alien's eyes for a long moment. Then he made a small adjustment to his grip and applied one final, precise pressure. The crack was loud and final. Vexithara's massive body went limp and crashed to the floor like a falling tree. The impact shook the entire room. The other Zephyrians stood frozen in shock. Their commander, the strongest warrior in their delegation, had been killed by a human who barely reached his chest. It was like watching a house cat kill a lion. Ryan straightened up and brushed dust off his uniform. He walked calmly to where the overturned table lay and grasped it by its edges. With steady, deliberate movements, he lifted the heavy table and set it back in its proper position. The metal surface was dented from the impact, but the table was still functional. Ryan straightened a few chairs around it, then returned to where his tablet had fallen. He picked it up, checked that it still worked, and sat down in a new chair. Kate and Lisa watched all of this in complete silence. The casual way Ryan restored order to the room was somehow more frightening than the violence that had preceded it. "Well," Ryan said, looking at his tablet screen, "where were we in the trade negotiations?" One of the younger Zephyrians made a sound that might have been a whimper. Another backed slowly toward the door, as if afraid that any sudden movement might provoke the deadly human. The largest remaining alien, who Kate remembered was called Sub-Commander Kethavar, approached the table very slowly. He kept all four of his hands visible and moved like someone approaching a dangerous predator. "Honored warrior," Kethavar said carefully. "My commander chose poorly. He did not understand the true nature of human strength." Ryan looked up from his tablet with polite attention. "And what is the true nature of human strength, in your opinion?" Kethavar gestured at Vexthera's motionless body. "You killed the strongest among us without visible effort. Yet you show no pride, no boasting, no need to display dominance. This is strength beyond our understanding." Kate finally found her voice. "Ryan, what have you done?" "My job," Ryan replied simply. "I protected our delegation from assault. Commander Vexthara chose to make this a physical confrontation. I chose to end it quickly." Lisa stared at the dead alien commander. "The Zephyrian Empire will want revenge for this." "No," Sub-Commander Kethavar said quietly. "They will want to understand how it happened." The silence in the room was heavy and strange. Commander Vexithara's body lay motionless on the floor, while the remaining Zephyrians stood like statues carved from fear and confusion. Ryan sat at the restored table, calmly reading his tablet as if nothing unusual had happened. Sub-Commander Kethavar was the first to move. He approached Vexithara's body and knelt beside it, checking for any signs of life. After a moment, he stood and faced the humans. "The commander is dead," he announced formally. "Killed in honorable combat by the human warrior." Kate felt her diplomatic training take over, even though her hands were still shaking. "Sub-Commander, I want to express our regret that this situation escalated to violence. We came here hoping to build peaceful relations between our peoples." "Regret?" Kethavar's voice showed genuine confusion. "Why do you regret a demonstration of superior skill?" This was not the reaction Kate had expected. In human culture, killing someone during negotiations would be seen as a horrible failure. But the Zephyrians seemed to view it differently. Lisa stepped forward carefully. "In our culture, we prefer to solve problems without violence. We see death as something to be avoided when possible. But when it cannot be avoided?" Kethavar asked. Ryan looked up from his tablet. "When it cannot be avoided, we handle it efficiently and return to more important matters." The alien nodded slowly, as if this answer made perfect sense to him. "This is wisdom we do not often see in other species. Most beings either avoid all conflict or seek conflict for its own sake. You do neither." One of the younger Zephyrians spoke up in their own language. Kethavar listened, then turned back to the humans. "My aide asks how your warrior learned to strike our weak points so precisely. This knowledge is secret among our people." "We study those we plan to meet," Ryan replied simply. "It seemed wise to understand your anatomy before coming here." "You studied us as potential enemies," Kethavar observed. "We studied you as unknowns," Kate corrected. "We hoped for friends but prepared for enemies. This is standard diplomatic procedure." Kethavar made a sound that might have been alien laughter. "Vexithara believed that preparation was a sign of fear. He thought your small ships and careful words proved you were weak. He did not consider that they might prove you were smart." Lisa found herself curious despite the circumstances. "What will happen now? Will your empire declare war on humanity?" "War?" Kethavar seemed genuinely surprised by the question. "Why would we declare war on a species that has proven superior combat ability?" Kate felt confused. "But we killed your commander." "He challenged your warrior to a contest of strength," Kethavar explained. "Your warrior won. This is how such things are supposed to end." Ryan set down his tablet and gave the alien his full attention. "So there will be no revenge or retaliation?" "Revenge for what?" Kethavar asked. "Vexithara chose to test your strength. You answered his test. The result was clear and final." The other Zephyrians began speaking among themselves in rapid, excited voices. Kate could not understand their words, but their tone seemed more eager than angry. "What are they saying?" she asked. Kethavar listened for a moment before responding. "They are discussing how to report this event to our high command. The defeat of Vexthara by a smaller opponent will be studied by our military for years to come." Lisa shook her head in amazement. Your people are very different from what we expected. And yours are very different from what we expected, HFY replied. We thought humans were weak because you avoided direct confrontation. We did not realize you were simply choosing your battles carefully. Ryan stood up and walked around the table to where Vexus Thara's body lay. He knelt down and closed the alien's yellow eyes, then folded all 4 arms across the massive chest. He died doing what he believed was right, Ryan said quietly. That deserves respect, even if his beliefs were wrong. This gesture seemed to affect the Zephyrians deeply. Several of them made formal bows toward Ryan, while others touched their chest plates in what appeared to be a salute. You honor a fallen enemy, HFY observed. This is the mark of a true warrior. Kate watched all of this with growing amazement. Instead of starting a war, Ryan's actions seemed to be earning respect from the aliens. She began to wonder if there might still be hope for successful negotiations. Sub-Commander, she said carefully, would it be possible to continue our discussions about trade and territorial agreements? With great pleasure, HFY replied immediately. But first we must attend to protocol. The death of a delegation leader requires certain formalities. For the next hour, the Zephyrians performed what appeared to be a military funeral ceremony. They sang in their own language while arranging Vexithera's body in a specific position. The songs were deep and haunting, unlike anything the humans had heard before. When the ceremony ended, HFY returned to the negotiating table. Now we may speak of important matters, but first I must ask you something. Of course, Kate replied. The human warrior, HFY said, looking at Ryan. What is his rank among your people? Ryan answered for himself. I am a colonel in the Earth Defense Force. I serve as military advisor to diplomatic missions. A colonel, HFY repeated thoughtfully. This would be equivalent to a battle leader in our hierarchy. Not your highest rank, but a significant one. That is correct, Ryan confirmed. HFY made notes on a device similar to Ryan's tablet. And all human battle leaders possess similar combat skills? Most have some combat training, Ryan said carefully. The amount varies depending on their specialty and experience. Fascinating, HFY muttered. Vexithara was our strongest combat specialist. If he represents average capability for your battle leaders, then your high leaders must be truly formidable. Kate and Lisa exchanged glances. They were beginning to understand that the Zephyrians were completely re-evaluating their opinion of human military capability based on this single encounter. Perhaps, Kate suggested, we could return to discussing ways our peoples might work together peacefully. Yes, HFY agreed enthusiastically. We have much to learn from each other. Your methods of combat training, for instance, would be very valuable to our military academies. And your technology could help us explore new regions of space, Lisa added. Ryan returned to his seat at the table. Before we continue, I want to make something clear. What happened here was self-defense, not aggression. Humans prefer peace to war. Of course, HFY said. A species capable of such efficient violence would naturally prefer not to use it unnecessarily. Only fools waste their greatest weapons. Kate pulled out her folders of trade proposals. Then let us discuss how we can build a partnership that benefits everyone. For the first time since the negotiations began, she felt hopeful about success. The death of Commander Vexus Thara had been terrible, but it seemed to have opened a door that might never have opened otherwise. As the discussions resumed, Kate noticed that the remaining Zephyrians treated Ryan with something approaching reverence. They listened carefully to everything he said and showed obvious respect for his opinions. She realized that humanity had gained something unexpected from this tragic encounter, the respect of a warrior culture that valued strength above all else. It was not the way she would have chosen to earn that respect, but it might be exactly what humanity needed to survive in a dangerous galaxy. 3 weeks later, Kate stood in the same conference room on Nexus 7, but everything had changed. The table had been replaced with a new one, and additional chairs had been brought in to accommodate the larger group of negotiators. What had started as a simple first contact meeting had grown into something much more significant. Sub-Commander HFY had been joined by 5 other Zephyrian officers, including their chief military strategist and their top trade negotiator. Word of Commander Vexithara's defeat had spread through the alien empire faster than anyone expected, bringing attention from the highest levels of their government. The High Command is very interested in establishing formal relations with humanity, Kethvar explained as he spread out star charts on the table. Your species has demonstrated capabilities that we did not expect from such a young civilization. Lisa studied the charts, which showed Zephyrian territory and the trade routes that connected their major worlds. These shipping lanes could cut our travel time to the outer colonies by 30%, and our cargo vessels could benefit from human navigation technology, the Zephyrian trade negotiator added. Your computers are much more efficient than ours, even if your ships are smaller. Ryan sat quietly at one end of the table, reviewing security assessments. Since the incident with Vexithara, he had become something of a celebrity among the Zephyrian military. They had given him an honorary title that roughly translated to Silent Thunder, one who appears calm but strikes with devastating force. The mutual defense agreement looks promising, Kate said, reading through the latest proposal. But I want to make sure both sides understand what we are committing to. Of course, Kethvar replied. We would not ask for help with internal conflicts or aggressive expansion. This alliance would be purely defensive in nature. The chief military strategist leaned forward. However, we hope your officers would be willing to train with ours. Our combat techniques have not changed much in centuries. We could learn from your methods, and we could learn from yours, Ryan said. Your people have experience with threats that we have never encountered. This was true. The Zephyrian Empire controlled territory near the galactic core, where older and more dangerous alien races made their homes. Humanity had so far only explored the safer outer regions of the galaxy. Kate felt proud of how the negotiations had developed. What could have been a disaster had instead become humanity's first real alliance with a major galactic power. The respect earned through Ryan's actions had opened doors that might have remained closed for decades. There is one more matter we need to discuss, Kethvar said, his tone becoming more formal. The High Command has decided to make an unprecedented offer. What kind of offer? Lisa asked. The sub-commander activated a holographic projector, filling the space above the table with a three-dimensional star map. Dozens of systems glowed with different colors, showing the territories controlled by various alien empires. These are the contested zones, Kethvar explained, pointing to several red areas on the map. Regions where no single power has been able to establish control. They are rich in resources but defended by automated weapon systems left behind by an ancient race. Kate studied the map carefully. And you are offering us joint exploration rights to these areas. More than that, the military strategist said. We are offering a full partnership. Zephyrian strength combined with human intelligence and adaptability. Together we might succeed where others have failed. Ryan looked up from his reports. These zones must be extremely dangerous if the Zephyrian Empire has not been able to claim them alone. They are, Kethvar admitted. Many expeditions have been lost. The ancient weapons are still active after thousands of years, and they seem to learn from each attack. Brute force has proven insufficient, but human methods might be different enough to succeed, the trade negotiator added. Your people approach problems from angles we would never consider. Lisa felt excited by the possibilities. The resources in those zones could fuel human expansion for centuries, but she also understood the risks involved. We would need time to study the available data before making any commitments, Kate said diplomatically. Of course, Kethvar agreed. We have prepared complete files on every expedition to the contested zones. Some of the information is quite disturbing, but you should know what you would be facing. The holographic map zoomed in on one particular system, showing the wreckage of destroyed ships floating among the planets. This was the most recent attempt, the military strategist explained. 12 heavy warships lost in under 6 hours. Ryan studied the debris patterns with professional interest. The attacks were precise and coordinated. Whatever is defending these systems is not just automated, it is intelligent. Our thoughts exactly, Kethvar said. We believe the ancient race created artificial mines to guard their territory. These mines have had millennia to perfect their defenses. Kate felt a chill as she realized what they were discussing. You are talking about artificial intelligence that has been active for thousands of years. Yes, the trade negotiator confirmed. And it has been studying every species that tried to enter its territory. It knows how we fight, how we think, how we react to threats. But it has never encountered humans before, Lisa said, beginning to understand. Exactly, Kethvar replied with satisfaction. Your people represent an unknown factor. Your methods are unlike anything in its database. Ryan closed his reports and gave the aliens his full attention. What makes you think we would be any more successful than your previous attempts? The sub-commander gestured toward the spot where Vexithera had died weeks earlier. Because you defeated our strongest warrior using techniques we had never seen before. Because you solved a problem that seemed impossible through knowledge and precision, rather than brute force. Kate realized that the Zephyrians were offering humanity much more than just trade agreements or mutual defense. They were offering a chance to prove that human ingenuity could succeed where raw power had failed. We will need to discuss this with our government, she said carefully. A decision this important cannot be made by a diplomatic team alone. We understand, Kethvar replied. But do not take too long. Other species are also aware of the contested zones. If we do not claim them soon, someone else might succeed where we have failed. The meeting ended with formal ceremonies and the signing of preliminary agreements. As the Zephyrian delegation prepared to leave, Kethvar approached Ryan privately. I have a personal question, the alien said. When you fought Vexithera, did you intend to kill him from the beginning? Ryan considered the question seriously before answering. I intended to stop the threat to my colleagues. His death was the most efficient way to accomplish that goal. No anger? No desire for revenge or dominance? None, Ryan confirmed. Anger makes people sloppy. I could not afford to be sloppy. Kethvar made the Zephyrian gesture of deep respect. This is why your people will succeed where others have failed. You do what is necessary without letting emotion cloud your judgment. After the aliens left, the three humans sat alone in the conference room. Kate looked at the space where Vexithera had died, then at the new table where they had just signed agreements that would change human history. 3 weeks ago, we came here hoping to establish basic trade relations, she said. Now we are being offered partnership in exploring the most dangerous regions of the galaxy. Sometimes the best opportunities come from the worst situations, Lisa observed. Ryan packed up his materials and prepared to leave. The real work is just beginning. If we accept their offer, we will need to prepare for challenges unlike anything humanity has ever faced. Kate nodded, feeling both excited and terrified by the possibilities ahead. But we will face them as equals, not as the weak newcomers that Vexithara thought we were. As they left the conference room, Kate realized that Commander Vexithera's attempt to humiliate humanity had instead given them something invaluable. Respect in a galaxy where respect had to be earned through strength. Now it was up to them to prove worthy of that respect. The future was dangerous and uncertain, but for the first time since leaving Earth, Kate felt confident that humanity could handle whatever challenges lay ahead. They had allies now, and more importantly, they had shown that human determination could overcome any obstacle. The galaxy was about to learn what humans could accomplish when they were no longer underestimated.